Hey everyone, we're back and we're finally here to present to you the updated version of the Iris 2 build I've been working on all season. I'm sorry this took so long. I want to just get this out of the way ahead of time. This is a very expensive, ambitious build. The stuff is not easy to acquire by yourself. The prices are being raised to extortionist price levels. It is very, very ambitious. It is probably not cost effective compared to other options you can do with other characters who aren't as popular. But here we are. I always play Iris, new characters, so we had to muscle through. And the point is, this build is working. I'm beating the shit out of the dummy. I'm probably around 10 trillion plus damage. I'm rank 1 on the leaderboards. I'm rank 1 in the city. I'm rank 1 all over the place. Point is, it's a good build. However, very, very expensive, and we're not done yet. We're not even done. So we're going to dive into this, and we're going to show you what we did, as well as afterwards, we'll go over some technical things you may need to learn and understand. So right away, we have our skill set up. We have the Thunder Spirit Magus right in our main skill slot. Very important that it's in the main skill slot. We have it supported by Elemental Duo, Electric Overload, Summon Thunder Magus Continuation, Critical Strike Rating Increase, and Summon Thunder Magus Agility. Now, both of these, I recommend having them at least level 3, and obviously as high a perfect roll as you can. And the reason I say at least level 3 is because you get the additional damage mod. Now, ideally, if I got this to 4, the additional damage I get would outweigh the negative, right? And then over here, same thing, 20 outweighs it. So it's better if you level them up. It's kind of important. I've been slacking a little bit. Over here, we have Dazzling Bloom with Activation Medium Demolisher. Now, you can also use Activation Medium Multi-Strike for this. And the main thing you're looking for is cooldown recovery speed, tier 0, highest percent you can get. Now, we don't need this to trigger automatically. That's why we're choosing Demolisher or multi-strike, because we never use Demolisher charges and we never multi-strike. So it will never self-cast, and that is the point. All we really want from this is the 35% cooldown recovery speed, because it is actually better than just using cooldown reduction. Combo that with Mass Effect's Well-Fought Battle. Over here we have Summon Grim Patron, comboed with Mechanical Army and Blinding Speed. Now, there is an option you could do here if you want. See, I have the energy. That's not the problem here. The problem is I don't have a Perpetual Motion. So if you want to buy a Perpetual Motion, you can buy a Perpetual Motion, put that up here with Mechanical Army, Blinding Speed, and you can change the Grim Patron to Summon Spider Tank. This may yield a slight little bit more damage, not because you have more minions, just because the spiders are better. Now, that small damage increase is so marginal. It's not the end of the world. I haven't gone out of my way to get the motion yet, but when I do get one, I probably will make that swap. Now we have Corruption with Activation Medium Preparation. Again, you want to, I slacked on this, as you can see, I've been not hit and miss, Bill. You want to get this prepares as low as you can, 4 or 5 seconds, great. You're probably going to want to get the cooldown recovery speed for this, especially if you have a prepares every 4 or 5 seconds. Then you're going to want that casting as much as you can. All right, combo that with Malice and Extended Duration. There is another version of the build. It's kind of different, but also good, that uses Thunder Spike instead of the Corruption, and a different necklace to apply the Corruption curse on hit via the Thunder Spike, comboed with different slates to use a pedigree for continuation, I think it's called. That gives you bigger numbed effect. Essentially, you're stacking numbed to do like 100, 200% additional damage. It's some a lot of characters are doing it. It's not just an Iris thing. It's the cheese of the season, the numb cheese. And at any point, if you want to make an expensive neck and make that pivot, you're more than welcome to. But I'm getting by with Corruption. It's just as fine. I don't need a bajillion additional damage from numb cheese, but at any point, I can add that to the build if I want. Over here, we have Summon Erosion Magus with Precise Fiend of Spirit Maggie. You don't need a 21, but why not? If you can afford it, why not? Ball out. You got Precise Superpower. Again, not the most mandatory thing. I do have my mana and life pretty balanced. But all this does is give you, instead of 30%, it costs 20%. So if you can manage without it, you don't need to overspend for it. Here we have summon Erosion Magus Wicked. This is very important to the build. This is kind of what we're building around. What this does is add to the Magus Origin effect, giving you plus 4.5 additional erosion damage for all spirit magi for each minion you have. And I have 9 minions. I got 5 Grim Patrons and 4 Maggies. So that's 4.5 times 9 for all my Maggies, all my Magnies. Plus it converts all the Maggie damage to erosion, so they're all universally scaling at the same time. This is a very important thing. Ideally, you want to get this at 5.5. Now, this one is not important to level because there's no negatives here that you need to counterbalance, as well as you're not really using the Erosion Magus for a lot of your actual damage. Most of your damage is coming from the lightning. So scaling this up to make your Erosion Magus deal additional damage per level, it's nice, but not mandatory. So you can save some money here, keeping it low level. But getting this tier 0 and a 5.5% is a big deal. That's essentially an extra 1% per minion, 9 minions, 9% damage multiplier for every single minion. You see where we're going. Kind of a big deal. All right, moving on. We have Precise Weapon Amplification Aura. This is very important. This provides us with the paralysis. It needs to be precise or you won't have paralysis. And if you don't have this aura or a precise version of this aura, you're going to have to slam a grudge somewhere on one of your support Maggies so you can get paralysis on your enemy. Very important debuff. It gives you additional 15% damage. I highly recommend it. On top of this, buffs your physical damage, which we scale off of. It's really good. We're going to put a Precise Restrain. I don't think it needs to be precise, but as you can see, I am pretty min-maxed. Maybe it does need to be precise. We have an Aura Amp and a Safety in Numbers. Over here, we have Precise Projectiles with a Precise Seal Conversion. Again, probably you 100% need Precise Seal Conversion. I only have a 20. You don't need a 21. Here we have a regular Restrain. No Precise Restrain here. Safety in Numbers and Selfless. So what Selfless does is it makes it not affect me, but I don't care. I'm not attacking, but it buffs it for my minions, which is what we want. Over here, we have Precise Erosion Enhancement. Once again, Selfless. Precise Restrain is back. Safety in Numbers and an Aura Amplification. Finally, we have our Summon Frost Magus with our Precise Fiend. It is very important to get precise. This goes up. This is normally only like a 58, a 60% as a normal mode, even at level 20. And it goes up. It more than doubles it. It doubles it, essentially, if you get the precise. It's very, very important. Protection Field, again, if you can get the precise version, I recommend it. I haven't got it yet, but it's pretty good. And here we are with the Superpower. This one is the one that you may not need precise, depending on your mana management. All right, hopefully that covers that for you. Over here on our candles, 2 things your first mandatory mod you need, in my opinion, are the 2 sealed manas. For your auras, that helps you get everything you need online. So I highly recommend, if you can only afford 1 tier 0 mod on your candle, that's the one you prioritize. Second mod you're looking for here is critical strike damage, the main skill. Like I said, it's important to have your Summon Thunder Magus in your main skill slot so you can benefit from these candle effects. So the main skill is now supported by critical strike damage, as well as my other candle here, the main skill is supported by level 20 wind projectiles. Finally, if you're a big baller and you can afford or make your own triple tier 0 candle, the final mod we're looking to slam on these candles is for every 25 growth the Spirit Magi has, they gain 1% additional attack and cast speed. And this effect is doubled when you're near an elite. So this is the 3rd tier 0 we're looking to get on these candles. If you're ahead of me, that's your end game. That will make your minions essentially per candle get 32% additional attacking cast speed per candle. So that's 64% additional. That's a multiplier to your guys will become little miniguns. It's a big deal. So if you can get that, that's where you're headed. All right, guys, that's that. We did the skills. Next, we got our talents. Not a lot has changed, and you do have some wiggle room here, and we'll go over that. So we do have our damage, and right away, I'm going to get this out of the way. If you want to be tankier, I'm kind of playing around with this. You can shave damage points from here The 3 points, move them over here for energy shield, shave a little bit more from there, shave these 3 from over here, and then drop in some energy shield nodes here to get more energy shield, if that's what you're looking for tankiness. But we're going to go with the build we have currently, and we'll show you our spec. So we got us some damage, we got us the attack and cast speed, the minion critical strike damage and skill area, the energy shield. This is, again, if you're not 100 and you're 95, 96, these are the points you will not have. These are the points you cut, these energy shields, unless, like I said, you want to shave damage for more survivability, then you move over to here. But if you're not 100, don't worry about these nodes. We have minion damage here with Spirit Magic ultimate skill damage. We have cooldown recovery speed over here. We have minion damage with skill level. Finally, these are also nodes, aren't 100% mandatory. These are huge quality of life and nothing more. So if you really want to keep your damage over here and your energy shield here, you can get rid of these nodes here at the cost of move speed. I'm keeping these nodes here strictly for the move speed because I like moving faster, but they are not mandatory in any other way. Over here, we have orders as our first choice and isomorphic arms as our second major talent. We're moving on to Alchemist. We have minion max life here over the damage. And yes, this is important. This is the only place you could find minion max life on any of the trees we use. And the more life your minions have, the more life they regenerate. The more they regenerate, the less likely they are to die. This is very important. So I highly recommend grabbing this over the damage up here. Here we have more attacking cast speed, some minion critical strike, rating and damage, minion damage, ultimate skill damage. Over here, we got some sealed mana compensation. Damage, 10% of damage taken is transferred to a random minion. Origin of Spirit Magi's effect buffing, +1 Magi skill level, and energy, shield, and life. Very important as we went over. Up here we have Source, very important thing. It gives you more additional origin effect, makes them cost less to reserve. This will kind of brick your build. Do not use Empower. It's kind of bait unless you're doing a completely different build. Over here, we have Talons of the Abyss. For every 20 growth, you get additional damage. For every 40 growth, you get ultimate attack and cast speed, which is what we're doing. Everything here is what we like. Finally, we're going to round out on the Warlock tree. Here we have our damage. Once again, if you want to shave damage for survivability, as I mentioned earlier, you take these points over and you move them to energy shield. Down here, we have the attack and cast speed. We have the damage nodes up here. We have the energy shield. And energy shield's charge cannot be interrupted by damage for 1 second after it starts. Very important since we are always activating it via our Frost Elemental. This essentially gives us an uninterruptible energy shield charge. Very good, very good. Here we have cooldown recovery speed with max charges. And finally, we end up with some damage and all skill levels. Now over here, we have the indifference for the all skills. Finally, we end up with off the beaten track. This is very important and mandatory. This build will not work at all without it. If you don't have this, you cannot even put on your auras or your magnes or anything. Very important. Mandatory. All right, let's get into our slate board. This is not 100% finished. There is still room for improvement. But as you can see, this is a very ambitious board. We're going to dive into it. We're going to start with a space rift. It doesn't matter if it's left or right. You just flip the board accordingly to depending on which one you have, left or right. That's not important. What's important is you buy the cheapest one you can get and then just flip your board accordingly. So we have the right. So on our right side over here, we have +1 minion, +1 spell, +1 spell, +1 lightning. Ideally, you're looking for, if you really want to min-max the living shit out of this, you're looking for a plus spell plus passive. Would be ideal, is the best combination, plus spell plus passive. But minion works the same and lightning works the same. So I got cheap and we got those. These are on the left side of here. So these are being copied. So essentially it's +4 skills for each of those. Over on the other side, we have our prairie, and surrounding our prairie, once again, spell skill on the bottom. Other alternative would be passive, and the max focus blessings. The max focus blessings are important to get to at least 9. In a perfect world, we would have a corrupted Winter of Origin. We'll get into that in a bit when we get to gear. And if we had that one, we would only need 8 stacks. And if we only needed 8 stacks, we wouldn't need this mod at all. And we could replace this mod at the top with a better mod. But at the moment, I'm not rich enough to afford a good corrupted Winter. So I'm running around with a 9 stack, and I do need that extra 9th stack. So that's why we have this here at the moment. And we had to make sure spell skills on the bottom. So the spell skill is being copied by the prairie. Prairie will only copy the bottoms. If this was flipped, it would copy this, but it wouldn't have any effect because we're only allowed to have one effect. So make sure when you're trying to, go around your prairie, you have the main skill you want to copy is at the bottom. It's very, very important. So we have our prairie. We have this over here. Over here, this is a filler. This is filler. I don't ideally want to use this. This is just the best one we have at the moment. So this is pure filler. It's, like I said, making me run faster, and I'm copying the run faster. It's kind of making my guys regen life faster too, which is kind of good. But this is a filler, and that's that. Over here, we have the intelligence and the penetrates. Now, the minions penetrate elemental resistance isn't doing that much for me since I'm dealing erosion damage, and that's not an elemental. But we are gaining the 15% intelligence, and that is copying over, plus some minion damage. So it's a pretty good slate as a temporary filler. Finally, up here, as another filler option, because we don't have all the money slates we want, you got additional damage minions deal to life, you got the armor penetration, some minus additional damage taken, aura effect, and then the converts 8% of physical damage taken to a random element is what we've decided to copy at the bottom here. As you can see, this is not the best crafted slate in the world. It could be better, but again, due to cost restrictions, this is the best kind of thing we were able to muster up at this point in time. Now, if you are looking for the best possible setup for this side of the board, you're going to be looking for a +1 spell, +1 passive, +1 spell, +1 passive, and then a third Starlight. Guess what I'm going to say? +1 spell, +1 passive. All right. Finally, you're going to move this up a bit, get rid of this piece, and what that's going to allow, once you have this third Starlight here, you're going to have 2 open slots. You shift this board up a bit, you'll be able to put a Spark of Moth up here and a Spark of Moth down here, copy another 2 layers of spell skill level. So that is the ultimate ambitious Divinity slate board you're looking for. Good luck putting it together. I'm struggling. Now that everyone's going to be doing it as well, it's going to make it even harder. So good luck on that. And we will move on. We did that. Finally, we got gear coming up. We got our hero traits. We are still going down the Whirlwind Tango, the Happiest Reunion, and the Nurturing Breeze. What we have on our things here, +2 hero traits, if any, are very important on these 2 here. The +2 hero traits, as you can see, these 2 are important. This one, not so important. This one we've slept on. All right. So as for the other fixed mod, I mean, get the best thing you can. I don't use evasion, but this is the best thing I get. The one thing that is important is the minimum item level of your memory. There are +2 memories you can buy that are only item level 79. And if they're 79, you can only roll tier 3 mods on the bottom, which is really bad. You don't want tier 3 mods on the bottom. So you when you're buying your +2 memory, you got to make sure it's at least item level 86 or higher. All right, so that's very important. That way it'll let you get your tier 0s. Now, I'm not going to go over the mods on the bottom and whatnot because these are filler. These are the best I got, but as you can see, crit rating is good, spell block is good, and energy shield defensive stuff, good. But ideally, you're looking for the best you can get. We're not quite there yet. Most of our resources were spent just getting the +2 hero traits, which is very important. It gets them to level 5. It makes them regen faster and not die, and it makes them deal more damage per minion. Very important. Okay, this is what you are all here for. Let's be honest, you just want to know what she's wearing to the fashion show. So we're going to get into it. We got our Troublemaker. This is probably one of the worst rolled Troublemakers you will ever see. Nothing is high rolled here, and we failed the corruption. It doesn't matter. It's a Troublemaker. You put it on, it gives you the mini tough guy, which is giving you 100 growth every time you cast the spell, which we do all the time. Plus it gives you explosions, which makes map clearing very good. And then for every 100 growth, you get more additional damage. Kind of important. Here we have the Warden's Breast Pin. Main things you're looking for on this is +2 passive skills, very important. Your minions cannot deal physical damage. Absolutely mandatory. You cannot wear this amulet if you do not have this corrupted, because it says your minions can only deal physical damage, and we are dealing no physical damage, so it will brick your build. It has to be corrupted. Finally, you do want to get the bottom one also corrupted, so your critical strike rating goes to your minions. It's a big boost. As I said earlier in the video, there is a crafted neck option comboed with Thunder Spike for applying Curse on Hit, Numbed, and that's a whole different thing. That neck's base alone is going to run you close to 20,000 just for the base, plus what you craft, plus your supports. It's an expensive alternative. I'm not too sure what's better. That one probably is, just because it gives you defensive layers as well as big damage layers. But this was easier for me to get. I was confident in this success, so this is where we ended up. We have the Winter of Origin. Once again, failed corruption, does nothing for me. But as you can see, the important thing here is the 90% additional minion damage when having at least 9 focus blessings. As I said, we're at 9, and we had to use a slate to get there. But in a perfect world, we would have this corrupted, and this would say 8. And then we would be able to get a different mod on that slate, and it'd be better. But this is what you're looking for your belt. Here we have our rings. Now, there's a few reasons I haven't tier zeroed some of these mods because I'm not 100% on them. We have armor damage mitigation and penetration. Now, erosion and elemental damage penetration might be better. It's a higher number, it's about double, but it is a different penetration layer, and it's hard to figure out the exact math on the armor pen versus the erosion pen, because of the fact that the erosion pen is double the value, but armor pen is usually better. So where does the break point come out to which is better? I'm not too sure. So right now we are rocking the armor pen, but erosion pen might be better. Underneath we have intelligence, max energy shield, elemental resistance, minion critical strike damage, and here's the other kicker. Currently we have erosion resistance on this ring and this ring only, because that's the only way to get our erosion resistance capped, which is important. The other option is to drop either the cooldown recovery or the deflection over on our boots and put erosion here. Now, we don't really want to do that. Finally, we have another option here of dropping the intelligence and putting the erosion resistance here. Again, not ideal. So what we did here is decide to put here to get our stuff capped at the cost of minion critical strike rating. It is what it is. I'm not 100% sold on it yet, but we may replace it with critical strike rating and move the resistance somewhere else. The important thing is, as long as you balance your erosion resistance, you have freedom. On our main hand weapon, we have a cane. It is important to have the max focus blessing base there. We do have the Dreamcraft here. I might have gotten away with not using it. It is helping me get to that 9. But yeah, here we are. Then down here, we did buy this mirrored. We have the corruption on the double damage. It's really nice. Elemental erosion penetration, gear physical damage. If I crafted this myself, this would be intelligence instead of the add physical damage, but add physical damage is just a little bit worse, not much worse. They're pretty much the same thing. So we got the add physical damage. We got the increased attacking cast speed and physical damage on the bottom. Over on our chest, we have a double based fire and lightning resistance. Very important, or else you will not be able to cap these out easily without other, pets, talents, or slates to help you out here. So if you just want to use gear and whatnot to get there, you're going to need the 10% fire lightning up top here. You're going to pick gear energy shield, additional max energy shield, aura effects, intelligence, and elemental resistance. The Big Daddy Cannon, we just got these last night. We didn't even corrupt them yet. That's how fresh they are. These are the Big Daddy of the build. Everything we have done so far is because of these gloves. These gloves give us energy shield, some stats, adds max life to minion energy shield, which makes them a little tankier. The big damage thing we're looking for here is 15% additional minion damage for every minion you have, stacks up to 7 times. At 15 times 7, that's 105 additional damage. Just you get these gloves, whatever damage you're at, you double it just by putting these on. All right, so they're really important and, as expected, very expensive. Finally, not finally, we still got some more stuff to look at. We have our boots with the cooldown recovery base. Is this the best you can get? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not too sure. You could also get maybe converts damage base or a move speed base. You have some options here. I went with the cooldown recovery. On it, we put the minion skills, the gear energy shield, the movement speed. And then here we are at the bottom. We have cooldown recovery and deflection at the moment. I'm pretty sure we're going to keep both of these, but there's a reason they're not tier 0 because I'm not a hundo on them. If I might swap the erosion over here, I might, abandon cooldown recovery altogether, in which case, why do I have these base boots to begin with? But you see where I'm going? So they're working. They're good now, but I'm not 100%, and I had to make the guide, so this is where it is. Over on this ring, this is the same ring over here. I forgot to mention the first time you do want the max focus blessing implicit, very, very important. And then the growth. You could go the other way and get the growth implicit and then try to get the max focus on the dream. That's probably going to cost you more money. It's a lot harder to get max focus with a good negative than it is to get growth with a good negative. So I recommend getting the focus blessing base. There you go. So both of these are focus blessing base with the dream of growth on it. Again, we have the armor pen. We talked about this. It may go to elemental and erosion. We're not too sure yet. Intelligence, energy shield, elemental resistance, minion critical strike damage, same as the other ring. The only difference here is we have the critical strike rating instead of the erosion. As mentioned over here, we might swap this to rating and move the erosion somewhere else. The other benefit to getting the neck that I said that's crafted as well is you could just move that erosion resistance up there, not fuck with anything else, and bam, you get, everything you want. So that's why that's another reason why I'm really looking at that neck as an option. But again, it's very expensive, and we didn't have our eye on it early on. So yeah, now we got to pay the super expensive prices. Finally, at the very end of everything, we got the rod. Now we got the chance to gain 1 stack of focus blessing when casting a summon skill. Very, very important. This is mandatory on the build, will not work without it. Make sure you have this as a base. You can get whatever and dream crafted on, but then you won't be able to have a dream here, dream here, dream here. And these dreams are more important. So I just recommend getting this on the base. Finally, we have intelligence, elemental and erosion penetration, lightning damage. Now I did the math. You could also use physical damage or erosion damage mod. It says adds X to X physical, adds X to X erosion damage to minions, or adds X to X lightning. I did the math. They're about the same. Average DPS for second one is, this one's 50, and then it becomes like 51.5 or 52 depending on the rolls. But that's just what it is. Point is, they're the same. Doesn't matter what you get. Here you got additional Spirit Magnus ultimate damage. Then you got attacking cast speed followed by minion critical strike rating. Woo! That's a lot of stuff. All right, boom. We went over our talents. We went over our skills. We went over our hero traits. We went over our gear. Last but oh, forgiveness, excuse me. Last but not least, we have our pets. And the only reason I'm showing you this is because of the Kismix and the fates. No Kismix. I mean, I don't have Kismix. I don't have any undetermined fates, but it is very important to get the growth here. I have some growth. I got 2 medium growths and 2 small growths. All right, these are dumb. These, you don't need these, so we're not going to talk about these. They're irrelevant. But the growths are important, and that's the only reason we're here. If you are going to put them on something, I put them on the original Sin. Before these used to be sealed mana compensation. We don't need it. We don't need it. We got more than enough at this point in our life. So we just got rid of those with the growth. And this is a very bad damage node compared to everything else. This is probably the worst medium node other than this one. So that's the one that got sacrificed. And the reason we get this growth is so we can hit the 400 growth threshold. See, I'm at 400 growth. 400 growth is stage 5. Stage 5 is important in the sense of it will give you 25% additional damage. At stage 5, they are plus 25 additional damage, blah, blah, blah. So you want to hit that 400 threshold. There are many other ways to do it. You can use different supports. You can use different empower skills. You can use different, you can spec into Mighty Guard. You can use a pedigree. You can put growth on your rings instead of resistance or damage. You got options here. This is the route I chose to hit the 400 threshold, as well as squeeze on my resistance and everything. I think it's worth going this route to hit that threshold, and it's very important. Some other things you need to know about the build. Like I said a few times, very, very important. You have the summon Thunder Magnus in your first skill, so you can benefit from your main skill is supported by candles. All right. Other thing that's important is you have your Erosion Magnus on your hotbar. And what I mean by hotbar is your first 5 skills here, which will show up here. Then what you're doing is you're taking control of your erosion magus, not your lightning. You're jumping in the erosion magus, and by doing so, because of this, you are buffing your lightning magus as well. So you can run around and let your lightnings automate the damage with no downtime. In my opinion, if I were to take control of the lightning and have to manually cast the skills, whenever I need to dodge, boom, I'm not attacking anymore. You see what I'm saying? But if I'm in the erosion guy, I could just run around and my lightning guys are always attacking 100% uptime. So that's kind of a big deal, in my opinion. So that's everything we got in the build. Once again, little flex. We are rank 1 all over the place. So the build is there. As you can see, there is lots of room to grow. There's lots of upgrades to be had. I haven't even got into using undetermined fates or dual kismix yet. That's just going to send you over the moon to the beyond belief. But I know you all want to see some gameplay. So let's jump into some gameplay action. Nothing crazy here. I really didn't have anything set up to show you a crazy map. I just want to show you the gameplay a little bit in the video. So we're going to jump into that. The gameplay is very easy. As I've said a few times, everything is automated. You literally will just jump into your erosion mag. You're going to use your dazzling bloom. The dazzling bloom works in a few ways to help us out. It is our blink for survivability and mobility reasons. Every time we do it, it will buff your Maggie's damage by about 40% almost additional damage, if not more, due to your empowered supports and blah, blah, blah. So it's buffing your minions. On top of that, that is the minion skill we are spamming to keep Mini Tough Guy on our minions. As I said, the Mini Tough Guy buff from our Troublemaker helmet. Keeping the Mini Tough Guy buff active at all times is 100% growth. 100 growth, not 100%, plus 100 growth. And that 100 growth is what's keeping us at that 400 threshold to maintain the level 5 stage for the 25 additional damage. So it's very important that you keep this up here. That's why the cooldown recovery is also important, and why we go out of our way for it so much, is so we can keep this up all the time. Okay, other than that, you get into your erosion magus. You don't even need to cast your skills. You can just walk through the map and blink as needed. And that's it. That's the gameplay. It's really smooth. It's very easy. It's very automated, especially for mobile players. It's very, very good. And honestly, the whole way through has been like this. Even as soon as I got my first hero trait, it was like level, I don't know, 9, 10, something like that, maybe. And yeah, it's been automated and super easy the whole way through. So hopefully that is the play style you like. Little walking simulator, push one button, watch the world blow up around you. I know I do. Hopefully this build guide, although it is quite lengthy and kind of hopefully detailed enough to help you out and understand what you need to be doing. Hopefully it helps you. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. As stated, there are tons of spots that this build can be improved. So if you have any suggestions, throw them down in the comments. I am currently still streaming every day live at Twitch TV. So if you need any more help or anything, that is the easiest and fastest way to get a hold of me. I reply instantly on my streams. It takes me a little bit to get back to the YouTube comments. All right, everybody. Sorry for the extra long description of this guide. Sorry for the delay on how long it took me to put the build together and present it to you guys this way. Hopefully it was worth it. Hopefully it helps. Hopefully you guys have a lot of fun for the rest of the season. I will keep updating you as I make updates. If I make significant changes, I will definitely post those, as well as some farming strategies to help you get those. So keep up to date on the YouTube videos. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't. And we'll see you in the next video, everybody. Good luck and happy hunting.